What is going on, everybody? Can you see me? Can you hear me? We can do two drafts. Two drafts today. Fire away the questions. I've already looked at this first question. I'm looking up the answer for you right now, but yeah, that's what I figured the answer was going to be. Fire away the questions. Best time to get them in is early because we're going to go in order of the questions. Try to get through all of them. Don't always get through all of them, but we will try our best to do every single one. But let's just start. Let's just start a Best Ball Mania draft. Again, 22nd. If you want to join in now, do it. I have 25 left. We're getting towards the end of maxing this, which is good because I can't really join slow drafts much anymore. I really hate when they change a slow draft to like 1 hour. You're missing every pick at that point, so I don't like when that happens. I want to try and get them in, but I feel like I was a little bit late at this point. All right, first question. Full PPR, keeper league, JSN in the 8th or Jane Daniels in the 5th. So I pulled up the PPR rankings and they're right next to each other. So obviously you're just going to keep JSN in the 8th round if it's 3 rounds, better value. If you hate JSN, which would be weird because you must have drafted him last season, then sure. But, unless you hate JSN, you got to go JSN in the 8th. 12-man. Half PPR 3 wide receiver league. Keep Bucky and Kyron 10th and 11th. Great value. Or since you're drafting 12th, keep Lamb. Well, I would need to know what round Lamb would go in. Obviously not if Lamb was... Are you saying Lamb in the first round at pick 12? Obviously, definitely not. You're keeping Bucky and Kyron at that point. But I need to know the round for Lamb. 10-man, half PPR, first pick. Chase, and then either Bucky, JT. How should you rank Chase, Brown, Jacobs? All right, rank all those guys basically in half PPR. Okay. Pull up the total rankings. I mean, my lean would be if you took Chase to grab a running back at that spot. So, yeah, I would love Bucky and JT. I would lean those two over Chase Brown as well because if you have Chase, doing Chase and Chase Brown 1-2, not amazing. Okay, we get the 2 pick. Nice. How would I rank Chase, Jacobs, Ladd, Tyreek, and Allen? Let's find out. I'm going to go by rank here. All right. I would rank them Chase, Jacobs, Tyreek, Allen. Oh, there was Ladd in there. Ladd goes right behind Allen. So Ladd's last. Just because of the Keenan Allen signing, the left tackle injury. It's just like when you decrease the potential target share because Keenan's there, floor and ceiling for that, you decrease the offensive line health. That decreases scoring. It decreases efficiency. Like he's taken a couple of hits recently that you kind of want to bump back. Recently, I'll also say, kind of going into what we're going to draft here, Chase always goes 101. I have been mixing it up between Bijan and Saquon at 2. Last 4 drafts I've had this decision, I've gone Bijan, so I think I'll go back to Saquon here. Kind of told myself I would do that in the next one, but I've just been flip-flopping. So basically half the time I take Saquon, half the time I take Bijan at that pick. But yeah, you could go either one at that spot. And then we will pull up this for everyone. Okay. How early are we taking Igbuka in redraft? Well, in half PPR right now, I think I am going to move him up a little bit, but right now I have him as like a late 7th round pick. That is still ahead of ADP. If I move him up, it's going to be to like the early 7th round, kind of that 6-7 turn. Whoa, this is different. Why do they keep playing around with all the stuff here? So this is different, and I don't like it as much because it doesn't even all fit on the screen. Like, it's not even my like overlay that's cutting it off. It's straight up like it's not fully fit on the screen. All right, I'm going to pull up. I'm going to shrink everything, and maybe like that'll do it. Maybe that'll put everything in here. All right, that's better, right? I think you guys can see that a little bit better. I don't like the change. I don't like the change I made. But yeah, 6-7 turn is probably the earliest I would go. You're hoping to get him closer to like the late 7th round. Who do you draft at 9? CMC, Nico, Brian Thomas Jr., Genti. So again, I think CMC over Genti this season. Obviously, Genti's awesome, but he's still a rookie on a worse offense with a worse schedule. And I mean, let's face it, he is worse than CMC with a worse receiving upside. Like everything is basically worse. You would basically only be doing that if you're scared of the injury, but I just don't think that's viable. Nico, I have ahead of Brian Thomas Jr., so it would be between Nico and CMC. Would kind of come down to format, but again, I just think you're going CMC. I would probably take CMC 7th overall. So if you're at 9, that's good value. I think 7 through 9 for me is CMC, Neighbors, Puka. So I have moved Neighbors over Puka. It's tough though, because it's like I've had them off by like half a point. It really is personal preference there. But if you think about like, oh, okay, now Neighbors, there's some question marks about the toe again, but like there's more question marks, I feel like, around Stafford. So it's kind of a difficult decision. Go with your gut on that one. I'm still taking both of them, but I move Neighbors up because people are tanking Puka a lot more than they're tanking Neighbors. And so Puka's becoming available closer to that late first, early second round. And at that point, if that's going to start occurring, I can't have the rankings Puka first. And I would probably start taking Neighbors first again personally. So that's obviously why I changed the rankings. All right. Minimize that down here. We are going to be up close to the turn at 23 and 26. We would obviously take Bowers. And this is also one of the reasons why I feel like I should maybe move Bijan back over is this Bucky pick. You get the 2-week 9 buys if you take Bucky and Saquon. But had we gone Bijan, we have different buys there. So odds are we're going to end up going with Bucky and T. You could go Bucky and like McBride if you wanted the tight end. I just hate starting off. Again, we don't know T's going to be there. But I kind of hate, or actually T's definitely not going to be there because I probably should have factored that in. This guy's going to go T with Chase. Or at least he should. I don't know why he wouldn't. I would go T first because I like not having, or I don't like avoiding the wide receiver position that long. That's weird. You didn't go with T. That's weird. It's a weird decision. Okay, we'll go T. I just don't like going 3 rounds without a wide receiver. Like I just don't like the teams, how they turn out that much. Once we get, further in the draft, into this general like 100 range or low 100s, like wide receiver falls off a cliff. And if you don't have a lot locked up by that point, you're not looking too good. All right. Fun low stakes question. 8-man redraft, home friends. Should you draft DJ Moore, Smitty, or Tet as a flex for week 1? I would lean DJ Moore. I have more confidence, especially if you're looking at for week 1. Excuse me. I think Tet's going to be awesome, but for week 1, I would trust DJ Moore more. They love him, and he's going to get schemed usage. So he's going to get the screen passes. He's going to get the stuff over the middle field. Kind of the stuff like, I don't want to call it like the Amon-Ra roll or anything. But you know how Amon-Ra on the Lions got those easy layup routes where it's like Amon-Ra didn't have to go out there and win every single time. 3, 4 receptions a game were like free. They were just designed to get him open, get him the ball, moving across the field, moving downfield, easy targets. That is kind of the role that DJ Moore is going to be in. And so if, Amon-Ra's had that great success in the past in this role, if we're hoping Caleb Williams can put it together and maybe not be amazing, but be like decent, that would be a really strong role and something that's consistent. So every week, he's going to get some targets, going to get some looks. And obviously, I think the upside for this offense is great. So I think I would trust him more. Smitty, it's like, we kind of want to, we kind of know what he is. And in DJ Moore, I guess there's a little bit more of that upside kind of baked in. Smitty's more of that consistent player. DJ Moore has that upside that I maybe want in the flex spot. All right. You picked 12 in a 14-team league. What? You picked, the 12 spot over the 7 spot, 13 and 14, full PPR, ESPN scoring, didn't make the right decision. I'll think about that in a second. I had a 14-team league where I didn't really have that many choices. I was the 11th person to get to pick. I ended up with pick 9, I think. I don't love the 7 spot. That forces you to make a tough decision right from the get-go. 13, 14, they're probably all the same, but I'll check in a second. All right, 47, 50. I would probably go Rice. I'd probably try and double dip on receiver here. Rice is finally falling to a point where I want to capitalize. Again, I don't think it's going to be like an 8-game suspension. When he comes back, he'll be returning second-round value. So I would take Rashee Rice here. After we take Rice, I mean, I'm good with J-Mo. I'm good with Devonta Smith. I think at 50, like James Cook also makes sense. One of those three would be good. So we're in a really good spot here. I just think to take the third running back, like there's some running backs I like in the kind of the mid round, some ones I like later on, some flyers. I like some round 18 running backs at this point that, I don't really see a need to have gone after James Cook or Ken Walker, who I also like taking in this range. I think because we took two running backs, and again, I'm not too worried about the week 9 bye. It's going to be tough for us, certainly, but it's 1 week that we'll have a little bit down production, helps us in all the other weeks, and we'll have other running backs. We will avoid the week 9 bye with our other running backs on this roster. So I think it just makes more sense. I don't want to overload too much in running back. I feel pretty darn good about Saquon and Bucky Irving being awesome this season. So yeah, we like to start so far. So in a 14-team league, and we'll just kind of go over the general consensus here. You're in full PPR, so we'll pull that up. I'm looking at a top. So the top 14 that I've mentioned is there. After that, in a full PPR league, you're looking at Drake London, A.J. Brown, Brock Bowers as like the next three. So at 14, you lock up Drake London and earlier. At 13, you would have locked up A.J. Brown and earlier. At 12, you technically, it depends on how much you like Bowers, like how much you like those builds. If you love starting off with Bowers in round 2, I guess this works out for you. I probably would have taken 14 over 12, but I think they're all good spots. And maybe someone reaches. Maybe someone takes Bowers and you get great value at your spot, but I would have wanted to secure 2 top 14s if someone reaches, or to secure Drake London, because I think you could honestly open that up in full PPR and say Drake London is also thrown into like a top 15, just because you kind of lose Derrick Henry. Also at the end of it in full PPR, he kind of bumps down a little bit, and I don't love starting off with Bowers in round 2, but odds are, honestly, people won't draft based on pure like best rankings, so it's possible someone reaches and doesn't take that. Okay. Full PPR, keeper league. You can keep Daniels at 1007. You can keep Neighbors at 305. I think you got to keep Daniels. Like, Daniels is a 3rd round pick. Neighbors is a late 1st round pick. So you're looking at a difference there, but, about 2 rounds, and it's a 7-round difference. I know that every round is sequentially like worse, like the drop off like matters less and less. Like if you were to tell me like, oh, this guy's a 13th round keeper and this guy's a 15th round keeper, there's no difference. Like that's the same pick, like 13, 15. There's no real difference in that keeper there. You're picking the best player. But round 3, there's still going to be some very good players. Even if everyone keeps one that's a 4th round pick, there's very good players in round 4. So I wouldn't want to lose that to get Neighbors when I could keep Daniels at 1007. He could easily be the #1 scoring quarterback this season. Keep Jane Daniels. All right, we got a super chat, it looks like. Is it important to target a top-tier tight end and quarterback in a smaller 10-team half PPR league? Also, are the rankings in the app always updated? So to answer the last one, yes. Every time I do a rankings update, I go over to my other computer and I run the script that throws it into the app. So it'll be updated minutes after the website. But yes, it's always up to date. We'll talk about that next one after we get this pick. But the short answer is no in a 10-team half PPR league. All right. We have options. I mean, I don't think I want to go running back at this spot. We're kind of reaching at all of them. So my gut says go with Judy and then potentially go with another wide receiver, just kind of double dip on this last top tier of wide receiver. It's too early for Patrick Mahomes, even though we have Rashee Rice. And I don't love going after Laporta. I've been backing up Laporta and Hawkinson recently. I don't really draft Andrews, Kelsey, Ingram. Like, it's just like this other range after them is kind of the same, and they come at a much bigger discount. Don't love seeing the 2 wideouts there. I've been getting this kind of duo a lot, and it's interesting because, of course, we're not going to have Rashee Rice to start the season, and we're not going to have Addison. So we're not going to have 2 of our first wide receivers. The hope is, what if T, Devonta, and Judy just do really well over the first month to month and a half of the season? Again, it's 3 weeks for Addison. It's probably 6 weeks for Rashee Rice. If they do well enough where we don't miss the production too much and we can hold on, we then get Rashee Rice, 2nd round value. We get Jordan Addison, probably 2 rounds better value than he would have been. All of a sudden, our wide receiver room has just skyrocketed. Odds are they're both healthy. At that point, like, we're playing to win $2 million. And so my assumption has to be I draft a decent team. We can make it to that final. And then I've got 2 players on the roster, wide receiver, that are increasing value over what it took to draft them. So been going towards that a lot because I think we can build strong enough teams. I think we should always be thinking, if I hit, what can the upside be here? Well, if you draft the suspended players, then obviously you can kind of hit on that upside. But to answer the rest of the question, you definitely don't need both. Like, you're in a 10-team league. It's not that different from a 12-team league. Like, once you start getting to 8 or 6-team leagues, now it's like, okay, everyone's cooking at every position. Like, you kind of need those differentiators. But a 10-team league, like, okay, you're going to get sick value at quarterback. Like, you now know 100% chance quarterback's not going to run out. In a 10-team league, even if everyone took 2, you'll have an option. And everyone is not going to take 2. People are going to take other positions. And so when everyone else is drafting, Allen, Lamar, Hurts, Daniels, Burrow, they're probably not taking their second quarterback. That's half the league. And so there's only 4 other teams left that are going to take guys. You're probably going to land Drake May or Trevor Lawrence or Dak Prescott super late in your draft. Well, that comes with its own set of value because you're going to nail running back and wide receiver, getting enough of them on your team. Because you got to kind of draft based on, like, you're going to miss. Like, you're going to draft injured players. You're going to draft players that you thought were going to be good and aren't good. And it's nice to have a lot of them. So no, you do not need to. Does it place a higher emphasis on them? Yes. And, if it's super close, like, okay, this person took Allen at 20. I know it's his best ball, but like, let's just pretend this was ADP. There's no way Allen goes up that much into a second round pick. So, like, I'm still looking in round 3. If we're in like the mid-ish third round, to later, I'm cool taking any of Allen, Lamar, or Daniels. I would say Hurts kind of drops into like more of the 4th round range. Preference would be Daniels because he's 3rd amongst that. So, like, if you can get a good value in Jane Daniels, that's good. But don't sweat it. Like, if you don't end up with them, not a big deal. I would like one of the 2, though. It'd be nice to have one of the 2. Like, for you to pass on all of McBride, Bowers, Kittle, Allen, Lamar, Daniels, Hurts, that's now a lot of top-tier players you passed on. You probably ended up with a sick running back and wide receiver room. My preference would be one of them. Can you identify one of quarterback or tight end that early at a decent value, again, just like around ADP, that you like, that you're not reaching on? I think 1 makes sense. I wouldn't do 2, and I wouldn't feel bad if you didn't get either of them. Like, if you foregoed them and you ended up, hold on, we'll make this pick and I'll keep going there. I'm drafting Mixon. I'm going to end up with Mixon as my most rostered player. There's just no way he should be going this late. 95. There's 95 players better than Joe Mixon. I know he's got this foot thing, but it's another player where if I can build this team strong enough to just get second place and get in, I have Joe Mixon. I have Rashee Rice. I have Jordan Addison. I'm going to be set up very, very well in the final weeks. We're not going running back, obviously, with the next one. That's a complete drop-off after that. I don't love Cooper Kupp, so I actually don't like wide receiver at this pick. I don't want to reach on Warren or the tight ends. Quarterback, I mean, we don't have any Arizona. I would only draft Kyler with Arizona. We have Bucky, so we could go with Baker. And then Denver, you could backstack, so that would be fine. We don't have, okay. Don't think I want to go with Kupp. So I think I take Baker. I take like the Baker, Bucky, Irving stack. We're kind of done with the Baker stuff. I mean, we could go after McMillan super late. I don't love that. I think it's fine in that there's enough players on Tampa Bay where like Evans can hit for deep touchdown but not be the guy you need. Godwin can get some production. Like Boo can get some production. McMillan can get some production. He can get to like 300 yards, 3 touchdowns without anyone being a have-to-have-it player. But also Bucky Irvin could just catch a screen pass and score a touchdown. So I think the Bucky and Baker stack is fine. But yeah, that was kind of a tough spot. Again, I'm backing off Cooper Kupp because I just don't like it. I didn't think we needed to go there at that spot. All right. But yeah, one would be ideal if you left it and you didn't get them and you had like Drake May and Colston Loveland. I still think you're fine in a 10-team league. I think that they can both provide really strong value. You're going to be dominating the running back and wide receiver rooms. So again, I don't think you have to do it, and I would not reach to do it. All right. We were taking Ibuka. We did that one. Low stakes question. 14-team league. Okay. You want to say you appreciate the work? Thank you. Also, 133 concurrents, 16 likes. Let's get the like button hit a little bit higher. General advice to keep in mind for the 10th in a 12-team PPR league. Tough that you lost out on the 11 pick. Yeah, but you're fine. Like, in a lot of drafts, so I kind of think about this sometime when I go into the draft. It's like, oh, I got to get 11, right? Because 11 locks up a top 14. But sometimes you have to consider other people like different players. Some people are going to reach on Bauer. Some people are going to reach on Derrick Henry that I do not include in the top 14. And all you need is one. At the 10 pick, you need one person at some point to reach on a player. And now you got the 10 pick along with another top 14 player. And again, if you're in full PPR, I would consider calling it a top 15 with Drake London. Let me pull up half PPR. Pretty sure Drake London's still there, but it might be Derrick Henry. So it's Henry. Henry at 15, Drake London at 16, A.J. Brown at 17. And I would consider it after that. I don't want to call it a tier break, but like a drop in value because JT, Bucky, Chase Brown, Jacobs is like boom, 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 boom after that. And they're all kind of the same. So I would hate taking first from that grouping. But if you ended up in your league here getting like Neighbors, Puka Nico, like one of them, and then you missed out on the top 14, but you got Derrick Henry or Drake London, I still think that's a totally fine start. General advice for that, I mean, mock it out and see, can you survive wide receiver, wide receiver? That's probably the biggest advice I can give people at the end because wide receiver starts are going to be very common at the end, but you got to do enough mocks to understand, like, do you like that start? Because if you don't like your start, you don't like your running backs at that point, don't do it. Like, take Achane, take Henry, go into the Jonathan Taylor, Bucky range, but don't do something that, like, you're not comfortable with, obviously, right? Okay, running back, I'd consider Scatterboo. I would consider Luther Burden more, and I would probably take Luther Burden over him. That's also a drop off into this next range. David Njoku definitely is an option for us, especially not having tight end yet and having a stack here maybe with Judy. But I think Burden makes the most sense. This guy already has McBride. Odds are he won't go with Njoku. It wouldn't be a bad pick, but if he did, we'd probably go with Loveland. I feel like that would be the duo there. And I've considered putting Loveland over Njoku. I think I like how I have it right now just because we've seen it from Njoku for like years now. Oh, takes Loveland. And also, again, we have the stack. We're not going to, we're not going to end up drafting a quarterback, obviously, from Cleveland. But basically the thinking would be if at some point someone in Cleveland does something, does Shedeur Sanders break out? Is it Dylan Gabriel? Like, does Flacco put it together for a whole season? Flacco's not. So one thing, Flacco's not going to start all season. It's going to be like 4 or 5 games, maybe 6. And no matter how he's playing, they're going to go with these other guys. Like, there's just no reason. They're not going to learn anything. They have to learn from these young guys and see if they can do anything. So he's not going to start all season. But the thinking would be, could someone do something? And I don't have to choose that, right? Like, by stacking up a little bit of Cleveland, we're not going to go crazy. You can say, okay, one of them does something. I don't know who it's going to be, but maybe one of them does something and all of them increase in value. Again, I would probably only take like Tillman. I probably won't even do that. I'll probably only take Judy and Njoku, but I could get 2 correlated bets here if I'm right on that spot. And Burden, listen, I'm not in love with the prospect, but Ben Johnson drafted him, so he clearly likes him. A lot of people like the talent, like the physicality, like the athleticism for him. And if Ben Johnson sees a role for him, what am I to question that? So I like him kind of at the end of this range because it kind of drops off into players that I just don't really see a ceiling for. Also, Mooney, not the greatest report. I want to pull that up. Let's see. I don't remember if I retweeted it. Okay. In regards to Mooney today from Raheem Morris, kind of just waiting and rolling, kind of week-to-week basis. I feel good about getting him back and healthy and ready to go. When? I don't know. We'll get him back healthy this year, though. That's concerning. Like, maybe this is just something he was saying, and he's like, yeah, it'll be this year. Don't worry about it, like week 2 or 3. The general thought to start was, week 1 to 3. When you're throwing out there, we'll have him back healthy this year, though. That indicates to me, like, is this thing something that he could come back in like week 8? Like, and at this point, we already know he's obviously second fiddle to Drake London. Like, we know that he has no upside to overtake Drake London. I'm concerned. So I've dropped him in the rankings a little bit, not a crazy amount, but I have dropped him, and I'm just not going to draft him because until we hear a different update than week to week, I don't know, probably this year, like, I'm concerned. So I'm not drafting Mooney anymore. He was someone I liked because the role was there. We knew the upside wasn't crazy, but he was someone that like was pretty easily going to be a flex play. But you throw this injury in there and this verbiage that like we don't know when he's coming back, probably this year. Like that concerns me a lot. All right. We will need a quarterback at some point. 143, 146. Dallas Goedert would be an option for us. I don't know that I'd go to any other tight end at this pick. Again, Cedric Tillman. I would say Tillman, Palmer. I don't like Dobbs that much. Tillman, Palmer, probably all I'm looking at there. At running back, definitely like Bashal Tutin. He would be my primary focus of this pick. It's a drop-off after that. I don't know that I'd want another running back. Do we have an Atlanta? I don't think we do. No. There goes Tutin. All right, we'll take probably Goddard. We don't have any of these stacks, unfortunately. So we'll take Goddard with this pick. Who am I focusing on for my next quarterback, though? I guess if Bryce Young's there at the next pick, that wouldn't be bad because we can backstack Bryce Young pretty easily. There's multiple players that we can still get really later on that we can pair with Bryce Young. It's a different bye week than Baker. Only got one drive, but they look pretty good in that one drive so far. Atlanta, I like getting Penix, but all his guys are earlier, and I don't really want to do a Penix pit stack. So I don't think I'll do that. Tennessee, Cam Ward, you could do it, but I would prefer Ridley. On Ridley teams, I want to go after Cam Ward. We didn't take Ridley. That's the biggest beneficiary if he does well. We don't have Miami stack going on, and then everyone else is much too late for us to focus on. So I think we take Bryce Young. I think we backstack him with some decent guys. We probably end up, if we do a 3 build, we can get Jadavian Sanders as that third quarterback, but like we can go after Jalen Coker, maybe Adam Thielen, Hunter Renfrow you go after, but I would say Coker would probably be my favorite because he's pretty much always there in 18, right? Pull up the Coker range of rankings. ADP 209. I don't think someone would take Coker without taking Young, though. So, we'll see. We'll see what ends up happening. All right. We are in 13-14 here. I'm just thinking over how many running backs I'm going to want on this build. So we have 5 picks left, and we've got Saquon, Bucky, and Mixon. Obviously, I'm anticipating in this build not having Mixon to start the year. I think I'm good with 5, though. I think we only need 2 running backs, so we have 3 other picks. Probably not going to take another quarterback. I think I'm good with Baker and Young. So that means I have 3 picks. Yeah, I'll probably take 2 wide receivers, 2 running backs, and a tight end. All right. We've planned it out. But yeah, the best general advice to finish off that question is you got to see if you like the wide receiver build. And if you can't stand it, go wide receiver, running back. Have James Conner as your running back 1, but have Puka, A.J. Brown, Josh Allen. Any concerns? I mean, I'm not in love with, because you waited a while. Like, there's other picks. You didn't draft him in the 4th round, right? I mean, half PPR, James, I guess I'm as a late 5th round pick, so my assumption is you have 4 players ahead, not 3. If you only have those 3 ahead of him, I have some. Obviously, I like the stack with wide receiver, or not stack, but I'd like to do a wide receiver there, and obviously I like Josh Allen as top quarterback, but I don't know if round 4 James Conner would have been the play. I would definitely take Benson if you did that, though. 12-man keeper, you have Jamar. Should you keep Chase Brown or Jacobs as your second spot? Again, depends on value there. I would probably lean Jacobs. Yeah, I would lean Jacobs. They're within 3 points of each other. I would want to decorrelate. There's going to be a couple of bad games for Cincy this year, or some games where maybe like T goes off and you don't want to lose because of that. So if the cost is the same, then take Jacobs. Okay. 167 and 170 here. We're not going to go with tight end at this spot. Ugh, this is gross. We're probably going to end up going with Guerrero and hoping he can get back healthy for week 1. It's too early for everyone else. At wide receiver, I mean, my goodness. Absolute dumpster fire. And no one that we want. I mean, theoretically, like maybe we take Guerrero here and Thielen at the next pick. I never draft Adam Thielen, but I do want to try and get some stacking going on with Bryce Young. And maybe Thielen, honestly, he's a guy that'll open the season stronger than he'll close the season. So if he opens the season stronger with my suspended guys, maybe I can start using some of his production early on, because I also did draft a rookie with the suspended guys. So we're going to need some wide receiver production. So I guess Adam Thielen makes sense for our build. Just never someone I end up drafting. But I think that's the play. I think we kind of have to go with him. All right. Pull this back up. 3 picks left. Who you taking rounds 1 and 2 at the 8 pick? Well, so at 8 pick, again, there's a top 6. Let's see if it drafted. So Chase, Saquon, Lamb, Bijan, Gibbs, Jefferson. In some order, that's the top 6. You're not going to get one of them at 8. I take McCaffrey at 7. If McCaffrey is not taken at 7, you take him at 8. If McCaffrey is there, I'm taking one of Nate. Wow, Drake London goes at 9. That's interesting here. And Puka, again, Puka at 14. That's why I moved Neighbors up, because if people are going to do that, I can't be taking Puka at 8 when he's available at 14 a lot of the time. But I take one of Puka or Neighbors at this point, probably Neighbors. So you're taking one of the top 6, McCaffrey or Neighbors, I think, at 8. At your next pick, that's going to be this general range. If you took McCaffrey, I would probably take a wide receiver. If people went super heavy and all of this top end plus A.J. Brown is gone, I would not go into Ladd, T. Higgins, and Tyreek. So at that point, I'd double dip at running back. Probably means you're ending up with one of like Derrick Henry, Achane, or Genty. And Chase Brown goes ahead of... Well, we're not up, right? Okay. Chase Brown goes ahead of Genty, which is crazy. That shouldn't be happening. But odds are, if you don't get that, you're getting like Genty, Henry, Achane, one of them with McCaffrey, which is a 6 start. Then you draft a bunch of wide receivers after that. So really depends on what's happening, but that's the general thought there. 8-man half PPR pick 9. You're scared to go with Achane at pick 12 compared to someone like Henry who feels safer. Thoughts? I mean, I understand that. I also have some hesitations with Achane in that, like, I think Ollie Gordon's good. And I've started to take Ollie Gordon again in round 18. Like, I think he's good. I think that, like, he can take some workload on the ground, especially with the Alexander Madison injury. But the goal line's what scares me. Achane could have 100 receptions, and he could just bury you for not drafting him because, like, he has 100 reception upside. But if they utilize wide receivers more, and if his goal line role is taken away and they go towards that, like, remember what they were doing his rookie season where Mostert was getting all that work in the red zone? What if that's Ollie Gordon at some point? Because he was terrible at the goal line last season. So I get the concern, never draft a player at the 1-2 turn that you don't feel good about. So if you are scared to go with Achane at 12 or at 12 as your second pick, don't take him. Do not take some in the top 4 rounds you're scared about. I would go with Henry if you feel better about that. Because also, Derrick Henry's also in a great spot. Like, he's set up again to have, 15 to 17 touchdowns. He's going to be good. The offensive line's good. The offense is good. Like, he's going to have another good season. We didn't see a drop-off last year. Achane probably has a higher ceiling because he could have 100 receptions. But if you don't feel good about it, don't do it. I'd probably take Achane, though. But I only have by a couple points. I mean, in half PPR, it's like a 5, 6, 7, 8, 7-point difference. That's not crazy. But it's enough where I would personally still draft Achane. All right, 191. So we need wide receiver. We probably only need one more wide receiver. We should wait, though, and take Coker. At running back, wow, all these guys are being pushed up so much. Do we just take Coker now? I mean, my goodness. Because we're going to go Coker, Jadavian Sanders, and a running back. So let's just take Coker at this pick. We will take one of our running backs that we like. I like Monangai. Wow. Yeah, running back. Oh, okay, got hit kind of right before us. But people are taking these sleeper running backs much earlier than before because I don't see, other than Monangai and Ollie Gordon, and you guys know I like Marshawn Lloyd and Sean Tucker. And DJ Giddens, I don't know. I have this weird feeling like, am I ranking DJ Giddens too high? I might be. Now, there goes Monangai. Great. And there goes Sean Tucker. My goodness. So, yeah, people are taking these sleepers way earlier. Okay, then I would probably actually take Jatavian. to lock that up. And I don't think Ollie Gordon and Marshawn Lloyd and Giddens will all be gone at my next pick. So we'll do that. And again, Bryce Young is a guy that, like, he scored some touchdowns last year on the ground, but he's a guy I want to stack. So if I'm going to take Bryce Young, I want to have his pass catcher. So if he has a really good year, who knows? Maybe late in the season, like, I'm not rooting for it, obviously, but what if Tet goes down? You don't think Thielen, Coker, Jamin Sanders are all going to elevate, and that's one thing that can happen that can just correlate across things. But also, if the offense is just better because Ted is awesome and he's commanding a lot of, looks from defenses, that opens up. Coker's having a great camp. Thielen can work on the slot. Like, these guys can get open because of Tet, so they can have some good games as well. So I like the back stack there. I'm thin at running back. Like, I'm actually very scared at running back, but at least earlier on, Joe Mixon, even if he misses time, if Durendo misses time, I'm pretty sure if I just could say you have to use Bucky and Saquon for the first couple weeks of the season, we're probably going to see pretty good production every single week from both of them. So I'm not too worried about that. But yeah, we'll take a running back. It'll be Ollie Gordon or Marshawn Lloyd. They'll both be there, or one of them will be there at this pick. Is Chase Brown with the top 15 pick in full PPR? Full PPR, I have him at 21. And that's pretty high, and I can't see moving him higher. There's no way I can move him ahead of Achane, ahead of Genty, ahead of Derrick Henry, or Bucky Irving. And that's the only players I have ranked ahead of them at the position. If you wanted to move Bowers and McBride back and say I have him at 19, okay. But I'm also not taking him ahead of Drake London or A.J. Brown. So no. Highest I'd take him is 19. Oh, 3 hours here, PPR. Was that a different question? Oh, that was same thing for the pick 8. It's the same thought process there. But it leans more towards wide receiver than McCaffrey. I'll pull up 3 wide receiver full PPR and just see where I have McCaffrey. I don't 100% know. All right. Okay, it moves him up. So at that point at 8, I'd be looking Neighbors or Puka over McCaffrey. All right, we're going to be up here. Looks like Giddens went, but our other 2 are still there. Yeah, again, I still think Marshawn Lloyd, if you knew he was the running back 2 for the Packers this season, that's a great value. I've been taking, because again, he's my most roster player. I have far too much American dollars on Marshawn Lloyd. I've been taking Ollie Gordon a little bit more in these later rounds. I just think he's good. And I have that, there goes Marshawn Lloyd. I have the hesitations with Jalen Wright. Also, join into the draft. We're going to do another one here. I have my hesitations with Jalen Wright because of that offense. Tennessee is a cheat code. Like, none of the production is real for Tennessee offense in college. And so when we get these running backs, that's why I have hesitations on Dylan Sampson as well this year. When we get these running backs and receivers in that offense, you got to understand the production is fake. So everyone's drafting him high because of the production models and stuff, and because he went earlier in a year where the running back class was terrible, so they drafted him. I don't actually think he's that good. I think Ollie Gordon can be the second running back on this team. And if that occurs in round 18, I'm getting huge value. And if he's the goal line back on Miami, I don't know. I just feel like there's a lot of upside in Ollie Gordon, and I want to go back onto it. And there you have it. We're at the 2 picks. So, like I said, I'm rotating between Saquon and Bijan. We'll take Bijan in this one. But yeah, that's the thought process on Ollie Gordon there. Number 1 pick overall, and pick 6. Okay. Oh, 2 different leagues. Okay. The league historically leans running back heavy. Half PPR, no tight end, no defense league. Weird for no tight end and no defense. I feel like a lot of people have defense. I do no kickers. Do you have a kicker and no tight end and defense? Anyways, what should the strategy be for both? What you're taking Chase at 101. Like, just take Jamar Chase 101. In the other league, and then after that, it'd be nice if you could get a running back at the 2-3 turn, just one of them. But if none of JT, Bucky, Chase, Jacobs, or Martin Hampton are there, I'd be fine going with Kyron Williams as well. I don't think I would go with Brees or James Cook. So if none of that is available, it probably means you're going with one of like Bowers or McBride at that turn. We'll take Bijan here. If you don't want to do that, it must mean that one of like Drake London or A.J. Brown. Because, if you're at that turn, you're pretty much guaranteed one of these players. So if London or A.J. Brown are there, obviously go with them. You can go with the stack for T. I don't love doing that in a redraft league. But yeah, go with Chase at that spot and hope that you can get at least one running back at the turn. At 6, if your league historically goes running back heavy, that might mean that Saquon, Bijan, and Gibbs are all gone, in which case you're going with one of Jefferson or Lamb. And then at that second spot, you're going to get one of Achane, Henry, JT, Bucky, Chase Brown, Jacobs. That is 100% certainty you're going to get one of them. So go with the wide receiver. Go with whoever is left amongst there and whoever you like. They're all very, very close. But Achane and Henry first, and then JT, Bucky, Chase Brown, Jacobs, just whichever one you like. And then the next round, you could, I mean, it really just depends on what's available at that spot. Like if you could get a Kyron or a Breece Hall at the next pick, I think that would also be fine. But I'd consider a quarterback in the mid-third round if one of them is there. If McBride fell to the mid-third round, I'd be fine with that. Or like a Tyreek or a Lad. But it kind of depends there. But mock it out. See what happens in the mock drafts. All right, I have to do a different one. So I'm going to pull this one back up and exit. And then we got to do this one. It's so weird that Underdog keeps changing the layout of everything. Okay. I want to go with a hero build in this one. Although, I mean, I kind of did that in the last one, I guess. 14-team league. 3 keepers per team. Landed the 101. Running back gets shallow quickly. Saquon still the pick, or is it Chase? Or Saquon pick or Chase? Trying to avoid bias an Eagles fan. I would like to know your keepers. Jonathan Casey, who are you keeping? Because that would impact my decision. If you're keeping like 3 wideouts, no, I don't want to take Chase at that point, but I got to know who you're keeping there. So I'll give you a couple seconds to respond to that one, and then maybe we'll move on to a different one after. Actually, I'll do one before that. You got the 5th and the 8th overall in a rookie dynasty draft. Nice. Who do you think you should draft? You're leaning Harvey at 5, Buka, or Warren at 8. I'll pull up my rankings in a second. We are starting our slow draft right now. We're in round 2 for our dynasty slow draft. I got Colson Loveland at the 112. All right, 23. I would go with T because I always want to steal the quarterback if Burrow falls. I want the option to take Burrow and not let this team super stack it. I'm taking T at this pick. After that, I'd like McBride for the mini stack in week 17, and don't mind going with McBride and then one of our later quarterback or tight ends. He gets taken. I can't figure out who I like between Tyreek and Lad. Part of me wants to take Lad with this one, and part of me wants to move Lad back over Tyreek. I'm just worried about Tyreek Hill, and I have a lot of Tyreek Hill, and I wasn't drafting much Lad in the mid-second round, so getting more exposure to him in the early 3rd round ADP I think makes sense for me. I'm just worried. I don't know, like something's off with that whole situation there. Do we get an update in the keepers? All right, keepers for Jonathan. Brian Thomas Jr. in the 6th, Kittle in the 4th, Jordan Mason in the 15th. All right, so you got a nice little mixture there. And you've got a wide receiver 1. I would probably still take Chase. You're going to have Jamar Chase, Brian Thomas Jr. That's an awesome duo. Kittle, yeah, that's going to be great for you at tight end. It could potentially lead you thinner at running back, but if it leads you thinner at running back, you're still making up those points having Brian Thomas Jr. and Jamar Chase and George Kittle. Like, they're still going to provide you value there to where you can afford to have fewer points. But I would make it a point to get running back at the next pick. Or at least I would make it a point to, in this range of running back, where we're looking at like James Cook, Ken Walker, or Breece Hall, James Cook, Ken Walker, Travion, Harvey. I'd make it a point to try and get that range of running back and not like completely miss out at the position. All right, what was the Dynasty question here? All right, Dynasty rankings. All right, and I'm assuming non-Superflex here. At 5th pick, although, let me pull up Superflex. You probably wouldn't go quarterback at 5 anyways in Superflex. At the 5th pick, you're guaranteed one of Genty, Hampton, Hunter, Tet, or someone else. I would obviously go for those top 4 if they're there. If they are not there, your decision is basically Travion or Harvey. I think Harvey is fine at that pick. I think my preference is Travion. Like, I would take Travion at 5 if I could. But I would also take those top 4 over Travion. At the 8th overall pick, so that's 2, 4, okay. At 8th overall pick, you're guaranteeing one of those 2 running backs, Egbuka or Golden. And if you could get Egbuka at 8th, I would do it. Egbuka went 11th in my draft that just happened. I almost got him at 12, although I needed a tight end desperately. So we're good with getting Colson Level in there. But yeah, Egbuka, if you could get him at 8, that would be fantastic. Any tips for Eliminator on Underdog? I just don't play it, so you don't really want to know my take. But probably play it safe. Don't do hero. Just like build a team evenly. Don't go crazy at one position. Probably want to take 3 quarterbacks because you want to play it safe in that aspect, which means 3 quarterbacks, probably 2 tight ends, early enough wide receiver to get some spike tweaks, not forego running back too long. It's just play it safe. Okay, 47 and 50. I talked up DJ Moore a little while ago. I like DJ Moore. Yeah, I was considering other players. I think DJ Moore is just the play. So we'll take DJ Moore. I like this build so far. Bijan, T, Ladd, DJ Moore. This is a good start. Hoping to get Joe Burrow at our next one after this one. I kind of want to go Ken here. Like, Devonta Smith is a great pick, and Ken is a great pick. And I almost wish I could trade back. I think I want to go Ken Walker. Because our next pick's not going to be good for running back. I trust these 3 receivers. I'm going to go Ken Walker. I think Devonta Smith also makes sense there, but I want to get 2 running backs I like. All right, looking good. Oh, didn't click it. Bijan, Ken Walker, T, Ladd, DJ Moore. I like it. I like the build so far. Tootin or Blue in Dynasty? Tootin, for sure. Would you double dip tight end with Warren and Loveland, or is it too risky to not have a vet? 14-team half PPR. I'm good double dipping. Guys, these 2 are sick. They're so good. And like, I think I trust maybe early season production for Tyler Warren a little bit more, but I'm not even confident in that take because it's like, well, what if they just run into a game where they win in week 1 and they run the ball a ton in the second half and he only gets like 3 for 40? But I'm good with it. Maybe the first couple of weeks it's lower production, but I think they're both going to be heavily involved. They're both going to be awesome. Like, if you end up with both of them in a 14-team league, I bet you people are trying to trade for one of them by the end of the season. Like, and do it. If you hit on both of them and they're both really good, we've looked at the past data and it says unless you have the number 1 overall tight end, like you just have Travis Kelce and he's going off, if you don't want to trade away like a great tight end for nothing and then have nothing at tight end. But if you've got 2 tight ends, teams that trade them away just do better overall. Like, it is so good, so beneficial to have drafted that second tight end, trade them away. It's hard to do because it's hard to actually draft a second tight end and they both hit, but you gain a lot of value if you can draft them both, actually trade one of them away, because you're going to be getting like mid-round running back wide receiver value for that, and it just elevates your team so much. Again, I don't know if that's going to happen, but yeah, I'm cool taking both. Been subscribed since 2018. Love the content. Wow, 2018. That is seven years ago at this point. Awesome. Appreciate the support. 12-man, full PPR. Take McCaffrey at 9, followed by London or Neighbors Nico, followed by Achane. McCaffrey at 9, followed by London or Neighbors Nico, followed by... Well, you're not getting Achane in the 3rd round. That's how I'm reading it, as the 3rd round. But yeah, if you take McCaffrey at 9, London, Neighbors Nico would 100% be great picks at that 2nd pick. Achane would be great as well. I'd be cool with any of them, but I would lean the wide receiver over a running back start there, given those wide receivers, because I like them all a lot. 71. It looks like Burrow is gone. Where'd Burrow go? What the heck? Burrow went before my other pick. So the Chase team took Burrow at 49. That's a bad move. You're in Best Ball Mania. You know how many teams have Chase and Burrow at the 6, 12, 6, or 7-1, a lot. You can't be taking them that early. All right, 71. I like Addison. You guys saw me drafting the last one. I don't think we have to go with the running back. I like Myers. I don't think I wouldn't want to go with Laporta there. We're probably going to end up with 2 wide receivers. I've been playing with the idea of moving Egbuka. Do I want to do that? I might, especially ADP is rising on him. I've been playing with the idea of moving Egbuka over Addison in the ranking, especially you have the suspension, so it's not even like, oh, Egbuka won't start the season with great production. Like, okay, 6. Addison's not going to, and maybe he will. Like, I don't know what the projection is going to show, but if Godwin's not out there in week 1, they're going to be pretty darn good on Egbuka. Oh, and we get Addison anyways. All right, wonderful. I like it. I like this build so far. It's a really, really strong build. Hopefully, quarterback can be good for us. We still have Herbert as an option. We still have Caleb as an option. We have Baker as an option, and we have J.J. McCarthy. I don't want to take Baker again. I don't draft Baker very often. I don't know why he's been an option for us in 2 of them here. CMC over CD in half. No, I'd go CD first. How important is strength of week 17 correlation on Underdog? Like if I have a Bengals stack, do I need to be reaching for Kyler, or is it enough to take Michael Wilson late? So the way I see it is, what is your Bengals stack? If you have Burrow, you're good. You don't need to reach for Kyler. It does kind of ADP-wise line up where like you're at this general mid-90s spot. What? Okay, so here's a good example. This person here who took Kyler at 73. I have drafted probably 10 teams in Best Ball Mania alone, which is only 150 max, that have a Bengals stack with both Burrow and Chase. And in all of them, I got Burrow at this general low 70s spot and Kyler, at this 90s spot. So I have 10 teams that have these guys later, and I have an extra mid-round pick over this. You can't do that. Like you maybe can advance, but you're going to get decimated by these teams that just have better value than you. So you don't reach in that aspect. I think if you started off Chase, T. McBride, and you're sitting here in the mid-90s and you don't have Burrow, I think it makes all the sense in the world to have Kyler, and you should be doing that because it's important, right? If you actually make it to week 17, even if Kyler has a bad year and you like had this other quarterback you drafted, like getting you there, you would still be sitting there in week 17 being like, man, I wish I drafted Kyler. Like, I know that like maybe it means you wouldn't advance and stuff, but like Kyler is so heavily correlated there that if he takes off for a long run, if he hits Marv or McBride for a big play, the value that is adding to your other early round picks that have league winning upside and week winning upside is so immense that like you have to do it, in my opinion, if you have that start and Kyler is there in this middle. If you draft Burrow again in the 70s, you don't have to do that. And if you don't like Kyler, it's fine. And it's definitely fine to go after Michael Wilson later. But if you don't have Burrow, I think you go after Kyler at that spot, because like for neither Burrow or Kyler to be having a huge game and being someone you need to have, well, now your early round picks probably didn't hit, and your chances of taking it down in week 17 go down. And since so much of the money is in week 17, you got to be thinking about that. Okay, 95-98. You guys know, like Pittman, he's cratering. I'm still going to get a lot of him. Okay, he's gone. I like Jalen Warren a lot. I have him at 80, so we're getting 11 picks of value if we can get him at this spot. I do see a drop-off. I wouldn't be against Tyron Tracy Jr. We only have the 2 running backs right now. There goes Jalen Warren. Okay. I wouldn't draft Kupp. So if this person takes Keon and takes the top 3 ranked players, okay. That is a difficult one. I think I would take Tracy. I think it makes more sense in getting Keon. Maybe we can get Keon at the next pick. But I think taking Tracy makes more sense. I don't want to go into Kupp. I have dropped Kupp, so I guess I'm taking into account the Torrey Holton kind of breakout here. I've taken that into account in my ranking of Cooper Kupp at this spot, so I suppose it's fine. I just don't love it, but I probably would end up drafting him if he became top because someone took Keon. Oh, thank goodness. Okay, we get Keon. I like Keon a good amount more. I talk about him in tomorrow's video, actually, so I don't want to spoil too much about that. But it's just the upside, especially on Underdog, that weekly upside. He's got multi-touchdown upside every time he steps on the field, deep play upside. Like, he could just develop as a player. He just needs to be a slightly below average route runner. And Josh Allen's going to hit him. He's going to be used downfield. And especially if Shakir, another high ankle sprain, same ankle, he can't be good to go in week 1, or he just can't stay healthy from this ankle sprain. Like, Keon is their first round talent. He is a talented player. Again, we were off him last year, but I think this is probably the year to buy back in on him. Okay. Is it difficult to draft trade in your hometown league because your league mates watch your content, similar players? Yeah, it's more so in my half cousin, half friends league. It's more so that people are like, well, what am I missing here? They're like, do you know something that I don't? And they kind of just refuse to do it. So yes, people don't typically trade with me because they just think that they're getting ripped off in some way because they have information that they don't have or something, which is not the case. I'm trying to rip people off in trades. The best trades are one that you look at it and you're like, this actually makes sense for both of us. Looks like quarterbacks, coming off the board. So we might want quarterback at 119, 122, but it is a good range for us to grab that. Maybe we'll go, honestly, McCarthy, Herbert. That'd be a really good kind of duo for us. Half PPR, 10 team. How do you have Ken Walker, Adams, Metcalf, Moore, Rice, and Kittle all ranked? Okay, it's kind of hard to answer those because I have to remember all of these players and when I look over at the rankings. Okay. Kittle, Adams, Ken Walker. Was Moore in there? Rice, Moore, Metcalf. I believe I got all of them. Team 11, no running back. This seems risky. I didn't look in the last one. But yes, having no running backs is certainly risky. But you can open up some really upside builds if your late running backs do hit. You have Trey McBride above Bucky and Chase Brown in full PPR rankings. Are you actually putting him into the mid-second rounds here? I'll pull it up. So to be clear, value-wise, it's decimals. It's very, very close in value. Would kind of be up to how I started. If I started with a wide receiver, I might want to just lean towards the running back, and that's why positional value kind of takes over at that point. If I start off with the running back, maybe I would prefer Trey McBride at that spot. I tend to like my teams more when I take Bucky and Chase Brown. It's very close. So I would tend to maybe lean towards it. Again, it's kind of math-based for how it would work out in that spot. But it would depend. If I started with a running back, I might take Trey McBride over. And it'll come down to ADPs on the different platforms. All right. I got to queue someone up. I don't want to take Luther Burden again, I don't think, because I also have 6 wideouts already. So we'll take McCarthy this pick. But yeah, we come down to ADP. If I know there's no chance I get McBride at the next pick, but I'm probably going to get Bucky or Chase Brown, well, then I would play the ADP game. If I'm definitely not going to get Bucky or Chase Brown, I might lean in their direction. All right, yeah, I think we're going to go with the double quarterback here. Different bye weeks. We love to see it. Wide receivers falling off, and we already have 6. Running backs falling off, and we have 3 we feel okay about. We'll draft Justin Herbert. Going well. McCarthy, Herbert, Bijan, Ken Walker, Tyron Tracy, and then T, Ladd, DJ Ibuka, Addison, and Keon Coleman. We will obviously need tight end, but we can triple dip on tight end in the later rounds. That's not too much of a concern for me right now. 12-team non-PPR. You've drafted from the 7 spot. Do you think the spot still is bad? Don't want to get demonetized. Given the rankings are super, super different for this format. Oh, so basically, yeah. Let's see. I don't look at the standard rankings that often. Again, rankings are math-based, so they just work off of the projections and then how do the projections fit your format. In standard, I'll just pull it up for you guys because, 95% of you don't play in standard anyways. This is what standard looks like. It's just so running back heavy. So the 7 pick is honestly probably fine because you're locking in one of these top 6 running backs. I definitely wouldn't want to take JT at 7 or you get Chase. So you either get Jamar Chase or one of the running backs. That's actually pretty good. That's actually probably a pretty good spot. Not 8 and 9 bags. You still get Justin Jefferson or CeeDee Lamb who are awesome. But I would definitely want one of these running backs in in standard scoring. So it's actually a pretty good pick in standard. If you had to choose any 2 players to build around a 12-team PPR auction league, that's an interesting question. Who would it be? All right, let's look at the field here. So to build around, that probably means that this is the core of my roster. I'd say Bucky Irving. Again, I don't know auction ADP, so maybe I'm off here, but Bucky Irving would be someone that, like, given that he probably is like a late second, early third round auction value, I would love if I could get him. I would love if I could get Drake London. I feel like he'd be a good value. George Pickens, I would really want to be going after. Let's see. Yeah, Bucky, London, George Pickens. If Puka or Neighbors, if people weren't bidding on them, they would be wide receivers I'd really want to build after. I don't know if I would spend up on Bijan, Saquon, Gibbs. I think people would just put crazy price points. If McCaffrey was actually like a late first rounder, like if he's going to approach Bijan, Saquon, Gibbs, I don't want him as much. But if he's going to go for like, $7, $8, $9 less than them, now we're talking. But yeah, I think my answer would be Bucky. Bucky and London. And then if you can afford another high-end player, Neighbors Puka. That would be like a dream kind of to go after there in auction. All right, 143, 146. What are we seeing here? Would have been nice getting Ferguson. We can't go with these tight ends. My goodness, people love tight ends in this draft. I could go with Palmer and create a mini Buffalo stack without. Okay, there goes Palmer. Keenan Allen. There goes Keenan Allen, really? All right. I guess I take a cratering Spears and I hope his ankle is fine. I don't think I go after another running back, but maybe I have to take Spears. Because I don't have, yeah, all right. I would consider Najee. I do feel like Najee's bottomed out to a price point that I'm comfortable with, but like he craters in some draft. I got him like 160 the other day. Like I'm more willing to spend up on Najee than Judkins. I don't think I have to go with another wideout. I feel like I'm set at wide receiver. So it's Najee or I go with like a first tight end, which maybe makes sense for me at this point. Yeah, I've probably foregone tight end a little bit too much. Let's take Strange. Because like I'd be fine not going tight end, but like I'm gonna be taking 3. I don't really want the 3 to be like Arroyo, Chig, and like Jatavian Sanders. I'd prefer it to not be that. And we're getting to the range where like I might not even get that if I didn't take Strange. Were people going early? Let me pull this back up here. People go early for tight end in this draft. So those are normal. That's normal. That's normal. I guess Warren's been driven up a lot. That's normal. So Kincaid went early. Pitts went early. I mean, everyone went earlier than normal. This dude's got Hawkinson, Engram, and Kraft. This guy doesn't have a tight end either. So he's probably going to end up taking, I would imagine, takes Hunter Henry at this spot. No, maybe tight end just falls off earlier than I'm anticipating right now. Yeah, described as the worst pick in round 2. Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, he'd be like the last pick in round 2 if you were taking him and Bucky and Chase are off the board. That was more that video. Had to talk about someone, right? Because you go to round 2, right? I love all of the top 21 players in the half PPR rankings. I guess, were we talking about full PPR? I don't really remember. I love all of the top 18 players. And I love Bucky and I love Chase Brown. And I think Ladd makes sense. So basically the option is Tyreek Hill or McBride. Like if you're going to talk about 2 players who are the worst pick in round 2, those are the only 2 options because every single other player is a great pick. And I actually think Tyreek Hill is technically a 3rd round pick. So basically McBride loses by default at that point. And it's more so a strategy thing where like I do prefer some of like, if I could lock up one of Loveland, Njoku, Ferguson, Goddard, I much prefer that to a round 2 Trey McBride. So maybe I should adjust down. I thought maybe just not in full PPR, but definitely the half PPR, which is what the videos are going over. Half PPR, I have him at 29. So obviously, yes, he's definitely the worst round 2 pick if you're talking about half PPR, which is the focus of the videos and what I pull, ADPs and everything from. Okay, 167, I would consider likely at this spot. Get okay value there. I would consider Judkins. I just feel like tight end, it just makes a little bit more sense when you go after tight end. But I would consider Judkins at our next one. But I think I kind of have to go likely. Hoping that Strange can kind of get going early in the season. I think he's going to have a decent role. He's not someone that I think breaks out and is like a top 10 tight end, but I think he's someone who'll be consistent, get me good production. That's all I'm really looking for. I want 3 consistent tight ends that can all keep getting me like 10. Can I score 10 points at tight end every week with 3 different tight ends randomly scoring touchdowns and getting like 40, 50 yards added on? That's basically the thought process there. I think at this point you would take Judkins and you would say, okay, you don't play, I probably lose, but I don't necessarily lose. And if he does play in the second half of the season, I got him at 170. There's only 3 picks left at this point. So, and some of these guys you're taking in 17, 18 are going to do absolutely nothing for you. So take Judkins. There's a possibility right now, given the extension that they or even the refusal, I guess, of the quick trial, that they throw it away. Like they just throw the case out. I don't know what's going to happen, but he was going at pick 75. And we're at 170. So you're getting him right now at the lowest discount. If it came out sometime in the next week that he is going to play, he jumps up back to pick 100. And we'd be drafting teams right now that are hyperly unique from everyone else. And sometimes you just want to gain exposure to that. But yeah, I think you take him. We're basically set now at running back. Bijan, Ken, Tracy, Spears, and Judkins. Not expecting early season production from Spears and Judkins, but Tracy should start off better and then kind of lose value a little bit. But Ken Walker and Bijan, I kind of trust those too. So I think we're probably set at running back. We probably want, let's see. Yeah, we probably want like 2 more wide receivers and a tight end. It's probably going to be a 2-5-8-3 build for us. All right. Unless there's something in another position that's like really, really nice. Yeah, I don't know what 11 was in that draft. You're a 12-team full PPR with 3 flex. Okay, you have the 7th spot. Pretty not smart to take quarterback or tight end early, right? No, I mean in the 3rd round, if you like one of the quarterbacks, I don't think Bowers or Kittle will be there in the 3rd round. I would take them if they were. And I wouldn't probably reach for Kittle. So it would be quarterback. And if you want to take one of Allen, Lamar, or Jaden Daniels in the mid-3rd, I think it's fine. But I just don't think you have to. I think, you can start off with like 2 running backs and receiver, 2 receivers and running back. And it's definitely a safer build at that point. And again, I'm good with some of these late quarterbacks and tight ends this season. Just don't go mid. Don't go mid-round quarterback or tight end. That's basically the biggest strategy. It's okay to go early for them, but only one. What do you think about my team? Hurts, Bijan, Hampton, Neighbors, Ladd, Evan Ingram. Yeah, it looks great. You've got Neighbors, Ladd, Waddle, and Rice, a great wide receiver room. Bijan and Hurts is great. Ingram, fine at tight end. And then, yeah, it's a good team. 10-team half PPR rank. JMO, Tet, Travis, Waddle, and Pickens. So many players that I have to remember. All right, I'll do that after we make our pick here. So again, 2 wide receivers and or 2 tight ends and a running back. I think I don't go tight end here, or one tight end. I don't think I go tight end here. I think I can wait a little bit. Pat Bryant's been cratering, absolutely cratering in drafts. Yeah, I understand why. LAC in Minnesota. That's not going to be great. Well, we're going to have to take someone. I probably would end up still taking him. I've taken a decent amount of Arroyo. I kind of want to back off a little bit at that point. I don't mind going after Ronnie Gadsden. But that would be, I mean, we can take him at the last pick. So I feel like I want to take him at the last pick. And then, I don't know, take Torrey Holton maybe? Torrey Horton? He looks good. Oh, there he goes. Great. I wouldn't mind taking shots on like Isaac Tesla. I've moved him up in the rankings. I'm still good going Besh or Beck. I always forget how it's pronounced. I don't think we can really get a stack here. I don't have the week 18s pulled up. I would correlate that if I could. Maybe we'll get him. I mean, if there was correlation, I don't know. I'll take him. If there was correlation, I'd go for it. No, I'm not gonna do it. I'm taking Gadsden. I'm just locking him up. We're gonna look at running back as well. I wasn't convinced. We're just gonna lock up Gadsden. Good receiving threat. Not gonna do much early in the season, but again, we're hoping Strange can put together some good games. Then we get Likely back, and then Gadsden can break out in the second half of the year, and we get correlation. It's the best correlation you can have is tight end and quarterback. So we're done at those two. I just wasn't convinced. Like, do I want even another wide receiver, or do I take another shot on like Marks, Giddens, Ollie, Lloyd, Tucker? Again, that's the grouping. I think it's a pretty big drop off after that range. These are the ones I would want to be ending drafts with. I don't know. Like, because you could go after Keandre Lambert-Smith. It just kind of stinks that, like, like, he looks good, but when's he going to play? You know? I could do that. I could go after, honestly, where is he? The wide receiver in Minnesota. There's no way I'm ranked higher than this, right? Do I have him up here? I can't remember his name. Naylor, right? What happened? Oh, I'm ranked 131. You could go after Naylor and say Naylor's going to be the 2. So if I was worried about this Addison pick, well, Naylor's going to have better production to start the year. He's going to have better correlation. Then Addison comes in, but he just loses value. And again, I'm not worried about early season. I'm worried about late season. Try and get second place and then advance. So what do we want to do here? T, Ladd, DJ Moore, Igbuka, Addison, Keon, and Pat Bryant. We're probably actually fine. And because we might lose Judkins for the whole year, maybe we should go running back. All right. That's what we'll do. We'll take one of these running backs. How would I order them? I do think Marks is first. My gut says get into second because he is the 2, and they will use that second running back. He will have pass catching upside. I wonder if I should move. It doesn't seem like it's a big injury for White, but they like Sean Tucker. So it's like, do I move Sean Tucker over Ollie Gordon and Lloyd? Maybe. Because, man, the upside there. I mean, if there were injuries to this team and he got, 12 to 14 carries a game, my goodness, like great offensive line, great offense, explosive offense, a lot of points there, great explosive player. Like, I should probably be taking Sean Tucker more. So maybe I will move him ahead of, Ollie Gordon and Marshawn Lloyd. But we'll see. We'll probably end up with one of these 3. Oh, yeah. How do I rank that in full PPR? Alrighty. Guys, there's too many players in these questions. Tet, Waddle, Pickens, Travis. Where was JMO in there? JMO's later because it's full PPR. So JMO's last. So Tucker goes. Yeah, I'll take Woody Marks if we can here. All right. There we are. Woody Marks. And that's the team. I'll pull up the draft board so we can take a gander at that. Again, I ended with Woody Marks or Ronnie Gadsden. Not an amazing ending, but correlation and some upside there. All right. If your rankings had a rookie as the best player available 5 picks in a row, would you take all the rookies or you play it more 6 mixing sound players? I mean, it's unlikely that happens. I don't know that I have, like, the only rookie in round 1 is Genty, but he doesn't even, is he a round 1 rookie? I don't think you'd end up with Genty in round 1. I have him at 12, I guess, there. So technically, it's impossible because you wouldn't go with 2 with Genty. But if you started with Genty and then you took an established player in round 2, and then you took Hampton in round 3 somehow, you got him in the late second round. That scenario is just not going to happen. But no, I would avoid it if I could. again, it's just not going to happen. I'm good with Genty. I wouldn't consider Genty and Hampton rookies. Like, I think they're just going to have good enough production early on where I'm not worried about that. Tet kind of the same way. I don't expect like a super slow start from him. I wouldn't want to be relying on like Travion, Harvey, and Igbuka in my starting lineup. I feel like they're better in the second half of the season, but yeah, just that scenario wouldn't really occur. I guess so not 5 picks to start, but 5 picks in a row. Yeah, I think that's fine because you would already have established players. Like, if that would become a thing in the middle to later rounds, at which point it's fine. I wouldn't want more than like half my starting lineup to be rookies. But if you were starting a rookie at like wide receiver 2, running back 2, and flex, I think that would be fine. And tight end, like if it was like Bowers or Tyler Warren, and you had like Travion in the flex spot, and you're starting Igbuka at 2 or 3 in wide receiver, I think that's totally fine. All right. I think that's going to do it. The throat is hurting. At this point, leave a like if you guys are still here. Tomorrow, I think it's like breakout wide receivers at different portions of the draft. Good video. And the same thing for running backs on Friday. But leave a like. Subscribe if you're new here. I'll catch you guys in the live stream next week.